Good evening and welcome to Martial Arts Met. Me and the infamous co-host Growling Dog, and
What's going
we are
on?
here. And so I want to just thank folks. We've been getting some really good feedback, and I'll let Renee explain that more. I think actually Renee's probably been getting more messages than me, but the feedback's been really good. Folks have been pleasantly surprised at our approach and what we're doing, and I'm going to let Renee speak his piece on this, and we're going to give you some of the guests that are coming up, and then the main event tonight, of course, getting Coach Chef on. So, Renee, what do you think? Good feedback you've been getting?
Oh no, it's been awesome feedback, and I think a lot of it has to do is that we are not sticking to this is a system and this system we have to learn, and we are kind of opening the horizons, right, to just talk about martial arts, and the fact that we're documenting a lot of stuff, right? I think we're giving people a chance to speak about what they've done, what they're going through, where they're going, and the the biggest thing I get from everybody is the fact that it's just a convo. It's just we're just hanging out. I don't really think of myself on a podcast. I think of myself, I'm talking to a friend of mine who wants to introduce me to another friend, and
Yeah,
vice
I
versa,
totally.
right? So for me, it's been pretty cool.
The prep has been so much reduced for me in my discussion. Like I would look at people's bios, I would go on their website. I mean, I would really, really dedicate myself to make their experience. And not that I'm not doing that now, I just don't know where it's feel as pressured. You know what I mean?
Hey, I'm showing
People,
up 15 minutes late.
and that too. I mean, and matter of fact, people say that, Dean, you look so relaxed now, like you did, happy, and thing is going.
Uh-oh.
I'm telling you, we're back. All right. But tonight we got Coach Jeff. There's something I'm really going to enjoy. There's some things that really resonate with me in that uh, the pre-talk there test run. One of the things of like the bouncers, targeting the midsection, not to break their hands or leave contusions. I thought that was pretty clever and all that. Some of the other things he was talking about. He sent me some videos today. I thought they were going to talk about, but I'm kind of looking forward to this. So, without further ado, folks, if you're watching, tell us who you're watching from, smash that like button. And here he is, Coach Jeff Berger. Hey there, how are you?
Good, guys. How are you?
Thank you for coming on. So,
Yeah, glad you're having me.
yeah, absolutely. And so we're all here, and Renee as well, which is good. Uh, so yeah, great test run yesterday. I'm sorry, rather Monday. Um, so you kind of give us your background. So I guess for folks who might not know, like what kind of got you in martial arts? You started, I sound like kind of traditional, like most of us.
What got me into martial arts?
Mm.
Getting beat up in school, and I didn't like that, so it kind of started from there. I think one thing it's a lot of people when people say like who's your first like martial art hero, most people would say like Bruce Lee or something like that. My first martial art hero was Captain Kirk from Star Trek.
Captain
Okay,
Kurt with the
Captain with the double handed fist and the hands class compression sidekick and yeah, that was
The
my first.
double hand grab, roll
Yeah,
on your back to the person.
yeah.
Yeah, that stuff's awesome.
Yeah,
Jeez.
that's my first martial art hero. But then, I saw Enter the Dragon and that just kind of blew me away. But that was years later.
Yeah.
But I was like, 5 years old watching Captain Kirk and stuff like that, thinking that that was awesome.
It was kung fu for me. The
Yeah.
whole I
We go,
was
yeah.
so immersed in that whole the five system, like the Shaolin temples, their conduct. Like I just
Yeah.
to me that's just
Just the
really
way he had that piece about no matter what was happening.
yeah. And then going with the flashbacks, that like
Yeah.
I love those. Yeah. So that was it for me. But
Yeah.
For me, it was just getting the absolute tar kicked out of me as a kid.
Yeah.
I
Like,
didn't have any
hey,
heroes.
TV is awesome, but just getting the absolute bejesus kicked out of me really turned me on to different fighting systems.
Oh my
Yep.
god. I didn't have
And
any
I got beaten up
heroes.
in a lot of different countries, so
Yeah.
it was just like a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I'm from New York, so growing up in New York, there's always just violence was just a thing. You know,
Yeah.
Whereabouts in New York?
Queens, Elmhurst.
Oh, Queens.
So I'm 2 blocks away from Jackson Heights, if you know Jackson Heights. I'm sure it's much different today, but back in the 70s, it was kind of rough.
What about Jamaica? How close to Jamaica?
I mean, that's a couple train stops away.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know Jamaica, Queens. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. I taught a seminar there in Jamaica, Queens, it was at Sunny School, whose last name I forget right now. So
Oh,
my bad.
Sunny. Yeah. Dose Paris, right?
Say again?
Dose Paris, right?
Exactly, yeah. And it was funny because where I was staying compared to Jamaica, Queens is very different. So it was like, as we're driving down to school, it's like all of a sudden you see like an abandoned car, and an abandoned car with graffiti,
Yep.
an abandoned car with like, no wheels, and the windows smashed in.
It's pretty gentrified nowadays, but back in the 70s, yeah, you'd see a car with, just no wheels on it, up on blocks. They stole the wheels, they stole everything off of it and stuff like that, and maybe torched it, and but now it's pretty gentrified. I haven't been back in
1970s. That's when Charles Bronson, right? Like around the time that he made those movies, the Death Wish movies about New York, right?
And we were proud to be bad kids. I mean, New York City was crime capital of the world. And we planned on keeping it that way.
Nice.
So I got into martial arts for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Before it got cleaned up, huh? That was like the golden era of like crime, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. It was like worldwide. I was in like when I was living in Europe, like New York was known for, it's like, don't go on the subway.
Yeah.
You're gonna get hurt, and all the gangs and all that. Like that was for me in Europe, that was well known back then. So
we thought it was just the greatest thing, But then I had one karate instructor that was really like my first positive male role model, and he turned my life around. Sensei Robert Clary, and I've done some other books and videos, and I always put him in the credits that I'd be dead or in jail today if it wasn't for him. So
well, good. You're giving your salute to him. I mean, that's and then from there you karate, and then obviously you left NYC.
Yep. Moved to upstate New York. Yep.
And then you continued, or?
Yeah, I went to upstate New York, and I found a karate judo school. So that was nice. So we were doing MMA before it was MMA, then we switched from judo to jujitsu. The judo program, we had left USJA because there's too many rules and all this stuff like that. And then a couple of other guys did jujitsu, and it was more self-defense than the judo sport. So that was kind of that crossover. So, but you know how it is between politics. You start off with one style, and then they break away, and then they break away, and they break away. And so it's that happens.
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Especially in the JKD community.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to just run with this. This camera is just giving me nightmares. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you look like you're on America's Most Wanted right now.
I know. Thank you. I know. I'm gonna have, and I keep saying, I'm gonna get a new camera.
Have you seen this man?
I know this man. Oh, good heavens.
He's known as the man with the broken blinds.
He's well notorious. All right, I'll be back.
Call 1-800.
Now he's on the other side.
My God, I'm gonna have to get. I keep saying I'm gonna get a new camera. I think I'm magically waiting for this thing to like resolve itself or something.
Well, with our budget, since our budgets are so high for this, maybe we just get you a new camera.
You know what? Instead of doing the GoFundMe for the blinds, could you work it for the camera?
Let's do a commercial. Like have like Sarah McLachlan playing in the background.
If you donated to Dean's
like a grainy camera,
please put that money now into a new
myself
camera.
And the guest is crying, saying, "My God, can we help
I'm
us?"
I'm looking at the comments, and somebody said when Kirk fought the lizard alien. Yep, the Gorn. That was the Gorn.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a Star Trek nerd, so yeah.
I know those days. They just seem like so long ago. It's
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
so then New York, and then
Then I moved to Boston,
gotcha. And
and
how old
then
were you when you moved to Boston?
22, I think.
So that's when you kind of came your own and started looking at different stuff.
Yeah. So I opened up my own school. I was in Chelsea, Mass. There was a YMCA there that didn't have a program, and it didn't have a program because Chelsea is just it was America. They pride themselves on being America's like first sanctuary city, but it's basically a Hispanic ghetto. I was teaching there, and then I started teaching there and in Roxbury, which is, if you know Boston, it's kind of the black ghetto. And I mean, I went to Boston's worst areas on purpose. That's where I like working with kids, and I could relate to those kids because I came from a bad area, and that's where I could do the most help. So, like our kids program today, we're a nonprofit. So it's called KIC, and it stands for Karate Inspire City Kids. We're a 501c3.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh wow,
Yeah.
I didn't. Oh wow, so you learned all this.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. So you took your upbringing, which you're exposed to, and then transplanted to Boston and intentionally selected
I
two
paid it
areas.
forward. Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, if I'd be dead or in jail if it wasn't for Sensei Robert Clary. So I go to these places, and you got kids who can't afford it. And it's the kids who can't afford it who sometimes who need it the most.
Those are the ones, right?
Right. So what am I going to do? I'm going to say no to them when somebody let me do it and it changed my life around.
Yeah.
So, so for a long time, whatever I made out of martial arts, I just put back in, so like for the kids who can't afford it. And then we're going to a tournament one time, and this one woman in our program, she sees me pay for all these kids. She goes, "You just paid for all these kids?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Why?" I go, "These kids don't have any money. They're project kids."
Wow. That's
She's
awesome.
like, "You need to be a nonprofit." I'm like, "I'm as nonprofit as it gets. My goal is that I don't spend any of my work money, any of my day job money on karate. Well, whatever I get for karate goes right back into karate. And I think you can get a lot. I think kids can get a lot out of going to tournaments. Just even if it's doing kata, like if you ask my kids, what I want, why do I want you to go to tournaments? They'll say, you want us to get used to being afraid. Because even if you're going up there doing your kata, you're still doing this. And I think
for like public speaking and the benefits for that, right?
Yep. My wife says martial arts has helped her because she has to get up and speak at work and stuff like that. But the biggest thing in that fight, I think especially first time people getting that first fight and stuff like in the ring or whatever, is your emotions. People think that's not going to happen to them, and it's like, well, you're wrong. If it doesn't happen to you, you're a legit sociopath. But so like when I got I think, if you're young enough and healthy enough, I think you should go and compete full contact at least, one time to feel that, because you're just not going to know until you know.
If you don't feel fear, in my opinion, you're not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
The times that I've been injured, like severely injured, like broken arms or worse, are when I went in there, like I showed up in the morning, like, all right, let's do this. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And
I still go into that ring nervous, but it's a good nervous. But like that I tell, like that first fight, like you're competing, that first fight is the worst.
Yeah.
Your nerves just get the best of you. You're going to gas yourself out.
Exhausting, man. They're taxing on you,
Yeah.
And,
teaching in bad areas, we'd get, knuckleheads want to come in and fight the teacher and stupid shit like that. And
that's what it was like when Dean came to my house, to be honest with you.
I'm getting too old to say, I'm too old and broken now to say yes to those things. But before, people come in and want to fight the teacher. They go, yeah, sign a waiver. And they're like, what? I go, sign a waiver. You didn't think I was going to say that, did you? You thought I was going to do this whole Zen.
I would like to have the opportunity to sign a waiver, and I went to Renee's, but
yeah, but it's like they think you're going to do the whole Zen master, I don't believe in violence thing. It's like, no, actually, I enjoy violence so much I made it my job. Now sign a paper. Well, most of them don't, right? Most of them don't.
There you go.
But a few times people have. And I'm like, well, shit, now what am I going to do?
Oh, my God. Oh, he's actually
But I've pulled my students aside and said, hey, guys, watch. If this guy doesn't have any training, he's going to gas himself out. Less than a minute, 45 seconds, 30 seconds. He's going to go Tasmanian devil. If I just cover up and stay out of trouble, he's going to gaff himself out. And as soon as I hear that soon as I hear him wheezing, I'm gonna pop him in the body. You know, but and you got people get tired and they're like, okay, I'm done. No, you can't gas step, bro. Sorry, you gotta get hit. You know,
Isn't it funny? Because and again, we'll probably talk about this a bit later, but I kind of equate the same thing to like bouncing. Like when I used to like run a crew, and people used to say, "I want to be a bouncer. I want to work at your club." I would just ask them why.
why?
And like for me, it was like I get to be at a club and make money and be cool and meet some people. But when people say I saw a Roadhouse, I'd be like,
Yeah, no.
and it would happen. I'm not joking you. There would be people who would be like, I saw Roadhouse, and I wanted to, and I'd just be like,
Oh. So that's just an immature male ego thing they want that for, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I took
actually,
the job. I was already training the guys. I was already training his guys, and then he asked me to work, and I'm like, well, I live a few blocks away, and I'm like, man, I'm going to meet lots of chicks here, right? I mean, I'm going to be working the door. I don't want to fight with anybody. I got really good at talking people off the door.
yeah.
I had people willing to go to the next bar because I talk them to the bar down the
my wife watches
buy me
the show, so I'm not going to talk about chicks.
Yeah. Well, I'm married now, but she knows she wasn't I had girlfriends before. But
no, hell, it's to me, like I used to, prior to working to legit bars, I used to work a lot of after hours bars. And for me, it was just like I thought it was a blast. I'm like,
yeah,
it's no rules here. Everybody's going crazy. This
other
is amazing.
people are paying to go to the club. I get to go there for free.
Yeah. Watch the madness, right? And especially with like the film festivals and people would come through town, like and all these celebrities and stuff. And I was like, this is insane. This is so much fun.
I got to see Aerosmith, Steve Tyler and Joe Perry would come into Access they came into Access a few times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, they're a Boston band. They actually opened up their own club on that street for a while.
Nice.
It was called Mamakin, but it died.
Mamakin.
Yeah, Mamakin. Yeah.
I think honestly, and again, we're digressing, but my favorite bouncing story was I had a guy jump underneath the chains, and I grabbed him and I shoved him on the floor. And I'm like, "Hey man, what are you doing?" And the guy stood up, and he was like a monster, like just a giant human being. And in the back of my head, I was like, "This is really, really gonna suck for me right now." And I heard my earpiece goes off, and it's like, because we had the cameras pointing up front, and they're like, "Renee, you want to let Samuel Jackson in, please?" And I just like literally, this is the guy I grabbed, right? And he walked in. He goes, "Oh, I guess my disguise is working." And he slapped me on the back. I remember like his pinky finger and his thumb met my shoulder blades, and I was like, "Thank God."
We always try to make sure if we knew a beef was going to happen, we got to go talk to somebody and make sure they leave. We always want it to be like at least 3-on-1.
Yeah.
That it's not about I'm going to beat you. It's just we got to get you to leave, and I'm not going to get hurt.
Him to leave as best as possible, right? At least injuries and liability.
But it was a learning experience and stuff. And another thing, I don't think bouncers should be considered self-defense experts.
Hell no.
Because you already know there's violence you're ready for it. The only time self-defense comes into play is when somebody sucker punches you when you're walking somebody else out the door.
I was the smallest guy out of the entire crew. At the time, I was like 165 pounds. Everybody was like over 300. Like they're massive, giant. I was like the only white dude on the crew. And I guess my notoriety was when people would talk to me, I would just pop my mouth guard in my mouth. And
that mouth guard,
automatically just, it would just diffuse everything in 2 seconds. Cause like even the big dudes beside me would be like, "Hey, listen, like I'll stretch you out." But this guy enjoys this stuff.
Yeah, man. So I always wear my cup, but I've told people, I said, one of the best things you can do if you're doing security and stuff, keep a mouth guard in your pocket. Because guys wouldn't leave, and I'd step back and put a mouth guard in my pocket, and I guess, okay, dude, I'm not going to tell you again. You got to fucking go.
Yeah.
And people are like, that's not in anybody's storyline.
No.
Yeah.
Like, this guy just put a mouth guard in.
I wore a cup.
I tell people, you can say all the F words you want, call me all the names you want, as long as you're leaving. But that got a lot of people to not fight.
Yeah. Like, especially when you're working like after hours bars, like those guys don't give a rat's ass, right? Like you're nothing.
Right.
But when I started going into like the more legit bars, I remember like I was the only guy wearing a cup, and I bought a pair of steel toe dress shoes.
I used
And
to wear ropers. They're like cowboy boots, but they look like dress boots.
yeah,
Boy,
and
that
it's just like,
that cross stomp in the shin with those cowboy boots, that is an attitude adjuster, man.
and again, I was the smallest cat there, and sometimes I held the door by myself. And
Yeah.
once people get to know you, that you're a no nonsense individual, and that the place is there for fun,
Right.
it was very different. So
Yeah.
like, I had some really like evil things happen while I was bouncing, but like I'd say about 80% of the time I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, most of the time. I want everybody to feel like they know they know me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I know the bouncer. We're gonna have a good time and stuff. I know the door guy, so I want everybody to feel like that. Like, you're gonna have fun tonight. No one's gonna bug you. Let me know if you need anything.
Yep.
You know, just I go above and beyond customer service, and you know.
Yeah, it probably reduces future problems, right?
Yeah, it's another thing I tell guys: dress nice. If you look professional, people treat you more professional. So I always had a good
Makes sense.
fitting suit. I looked good, and plus I'm there to pick up girls mostly anyway. So
my boss had hired his friend who's like looking for a job for a while, and he came in wearing like the mechanic gloves, and like his hat was like this, and you just stare. And I just walked up. I'm like, take your fucking gloves off, take the hat off, and act like a human being before you piss me off. It's like, because I don't want to
try to intimidate anybody, because that's going to set off somebody else's alarms. Just have fun. And if something happens, even then, I got so good at talking people out the door that I've had multiple people, because I'm like, dude, why are you here? Like drinks are cheaper at the next place. This, because they're like, somebody hit on the bartender too hard, and you're like, you got to kick her out. You got to kick him out, So she goes behind the door, and we come up and tell him he's got to go, and he's like, I'm not fucking leaving. He doesn't want to leave. But I'm like, dude, yeah, like she's a bitch. She does this all the time. So like, dude, when I have a night off, I don't come here. I go to Bill's Bar, because Bill Bar is down there too, and we're not associated with them. Dude, the beers are cheaper. There's more girls to guys ratio. Why are you here? But by the time they're done, they want to buy me beers at the next bar.
They want to take you down there with them.
Yeah, I can beat you up, and I don't want to do that.
You know what I think? I think for the most part, most guys don't want to fight. It's just they've reached a point where they're like, my ego is demanding this, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, I think it's a thing for a lot of young guys is to test themselves. So you're gonna do that. Do it in a martial art gym. Do it in a ring. I think that's something most young guys need to get out of their system. So do it in a legal way, so you're not getting hurt or going to jail.
Yeah, no liability and.
It's funny that you said that, because like even like my first, like martial arts instructor that really kind of like was a father figure for me. Even when I was bouncing, he would call me like the next day. He's like, "Hey, what happened over at such and such a place?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing." He's like, "Why don't you come and train today?" And I knew I was in trouble, right? It was just like he was like one of the guys that actually kept an eye on me the entire time. And I think that's what's missing, I think, today with a lot of martial artists, is that maybe I'm wrong. And I really hope I am, but we're missing that connection with some of our students and really like guiding people out.
I think this become to the business. I think the business model is taking away that interpersonal connection, mentorship, and all that. I think you probably see it in inner cities more so than I'm going to say in rural areas, to be honest. Right?
Anybody who runs a martial arts school, I would tell you, there's a really short book to read, Sebastian Junger's Tribe. Read that, because a lot of people think tribalism is a bad thing. We're social animals. We need that tribe, and there's so many things like we don't in America. Like, what's a rites of passage that you're a man now?
Nothing.
Right? Nothing. Oh, I'm 16. I can drive. I'm 18. I
have
can
an iPhone.
21. I can drink. But you don't have that team. You don't have that tribe. There's one thing I tell people: you'll find your tribe, love them hard.
Especially in the rural areas,
where I jump in on the group that I belong to, as far as the Dog Brothers. To me, that is like it's a rite of passage. Like you show up, you get the tar beaten out of you. You have older people who are showing you the way.
Yep.
And I've seen people who are you know, one step away from going to jail who have joined the group,
That was
and
me.
now they're outstanding citizens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really provide for the community.
I got into martial arts for all the wrong reasons. And it was one good teacher being my first positive male role model that really just gave me a 180.
You know, it's funny, and I said the story before, but the teacher that I met, like Makoto Kawayama, when I first met him, I wanted to knock him out. I was like, he's like a skinny Japanese dude, a couple tattoos, and he's known kind of in the punk community. And I was like, this dude ain't shit. Like, that's what I said to myself. And I was Thai boxing already, and I thought I was a monster. And I went to his class. He was teaching the Guardian Angels at the time. And I was like, like, fuck this, man. I know I could have this guy. And long story short, I went into his class, asked how much a private was, and left. Complete disrespectful dickhead. Got on my motorcycle. I was like smiling all the way home. Came back the next day and I got my lights knocked out. I just beaten to a pulp. And then
you know how good he probably felt doing that.
I ended up here's the crazy part. Yeah. As much as the people I used to hang out with, I was like not a chance. I ended up joining the Guardian Angels, becoming a member.
Cool.
And and like I was one of the first people in Canada, like when they first came here. I was like the second gen. Like cool. I ended up joining and
being a kid from New York City, we respected them. When they were on the subway, people behaved.
Yeah, I was doing a bunch of community shit where I was like, I would never in my life do this. I was more like go to work at 9 o'clock at night, come back at 4 a.m. And now here I am standing in some corner in some bullshit alley, walking old people home. It's like
my karate kids, they have to do community service as part of their rank requirements.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. Whether it's, we do fundraisers for different things, or if we're, bagging canned goods for some church, for some homeless shelter or whatever it is, they got to do some community service.
It's awesome.
Yep. Whatever we can do, like honestly, with that as well, we're not reaching millions of people yet, but I would love to help you guys out with whatever you guys do.
Do you know what samurai means? Do you know what it means? It means one who serves.
No kidding. Okay.
One who serves.
Yep.
Yep.
Wow.
You don't have to be, it's not like a lowly thing to serve. You can serve and still be, still look like you're the king in the crowd kind of thing like that. We had this, I was part of this mentorship. You're supposed to mentor a teen on how to be a man and stuff like that, and teach them how to interview and just not be a punk. And one of the things we're supposed to do is get them a suit, right? So me, I got 3 people, so I can't say no, but we go get guys suits. I go, no, we're not buying stuff off the shelf. We're going to get stuff fitted, right? I'm paying for this, by the way, right? They get fitted suits, but man, this one kid, when he put on his suit, he was the first one to get a suit, and he just spent time looking in the mirror. And this guy's really smart, but he's just being a punk in school. And he's asking me, he goes, what kind of job? Look in the mirror. He goes, what job would I have to do to wear one of these? Like, he's never seen himself look professional. But one of the first things we did with those suits, we went and shined shoes. I taught these guys how to shine shoes. We're in Boston. We went down to downtown Cross, and I go, we're going to shine shoes. And this one kid goes, I ain't shining no white guy's shoes. And you're going to shine whoever's shoes. I go, you're going to watch me do it first. And here I am shining some business guy's shoes, but I'm talking to him positive. Hey, boss, how you doing? And doing a great job. And they're like, and I said, you guys, these are free. They just pay for tips, and these guys really just kind of flipped them around. Like, man, I could do community service and I'm not like beneath anybody,
That is so fucking cool.
That is. So are you carrying out stuff like this? I mean, like
kids are different now. When I was working with Chelsea and Roxbury, these were tough kids in bad areas.
That's what I was going to say. Like the group you have now.
Nowadays, kids are just kind of wimpy kids who need somebody to tell them.
I'm telling you, it's happening in rural areas. It's becoming really bad. Like,
Every 3 or 5 years, I see the kids take a step down.
I know the whole thing of just masculinity and just it's like
And they're so soft. Like I got kids who cry because I'm like telling them to fix their stance. I had one boy, he was like 9 or 10 years old, and him and his brother are on scholarship, so they're kick kids, right? Cries, goes and sits on his mom's lap, sticking his tongue out at me while he's on his mom's lap. I'm like, you okay with that? I go, that's like acting like a baby. Well, he's upset. Well, you know, I'm trying to talk to her, like, because, you know, you brought him here because he sucks. He sucks because of you. I don't have no filter. I don't have no filter with that, right? But he's in class with him, and everything she does, she goes, "Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, that was great." And I said, "You need to stop talking to him during class and stop saying that." She's like, "Well, I'm just trying to." I'm like, "And don't talk to me like this."
Oh my God!
What you doing doesn't work.
I hate it when Dean talks to me like that.
Right. I'm like, you can save that ghetto shit for somebody
Renee,
else.
it was not 8:15. It was 8.
I said, I know what you're trying to do, and it doesn't work. And you should know it doesn't work. You know, and I'm like, if you don't like it, you can leave. But then,
good for you.
I'm kind of tough on the kids. You know, I'm not making this all fun time so that they don't quit.
Good.
I'd rather parents see a difference in their kids. And when their kid says, "Mommy, I want to quit. I hate this guy." They're like, "Oh no, you need that."
Yeah.
I want them to stay because of that. Okay.
You're not being tough. You're being realistic. And I think that's something that we need to like kind of address as well.
I'm nowhere near tough on these kids like I was 20, 30 years ago.
Jesus Christ. Join the trades 20 years ago. You want to see what happens to you.
But it's like 6-8 months into it, he really did something good. And I go, "Andrew, hey, that was pretty good." He goes, "Mom, you hear that? Sensei said I did really good." And I looked at her, I go, "Hey, Mom, see that? When I give him a compliment, it means something because I don't lie to him every day."
Yeah.
And she just gets up and goes outside and he has a cigarette and stuff like that. I don't care about her feelings. I'm there for the kid, not her.
Well, no,
I had it's funny. I had a call from my kid's school one day, and my 6-year-old didn't eat his lunch. And his teacher called me. He's like, "Your son didn't eat his lunch." And I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, he didn't like what you made." I'm like, "All right."
Too bad.
Like, and they're like, they're expecting something else from me. I'm like, "Listen, I make them a lunch.
Yeah.
And if they don't eat it and they go hungry, that's on them.
Yeah. He gets hungry enough, he'll eat it. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And, it's like, you up. And I tell them flat out, I'm like, whenever they get a participation trophy, throw it in the garbage. Yep. Like, to me, it means nothing.
Yeah. There are tournaments we don't go to because everyone gets the same size medal. So they'll have first place, second place, third place. So you'll have, gold, silver, bronze, and then there might be 16 fourth place medals. So they have first, second, third, fourth place. Everybody else is fourth place. I'm like, yeah, I don't go to those. And the people are, well, they're just kids. Okay, so when are they going to learn about winning and losing? Yeah. When they're grown up and they're throwing temper tantrums in college, or when they lost their job or their marriage.
How to deal with adversity.
Hey, listen, I've as a tradesman, and when I got into management, I had calls from parents when their 20-year-old son or daughter got fired from a job, and they're expecting me to be like sympathetic towards it. It's like, no, your kid fucked up, and he kept fucking up, and he kept making up bullshit excuses. So I don't want him on my site. It's like, well, they just lost their grandmother. It's like, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean that sucks, but you still got to go to work. When the whole China cooties shut everything down. So I call it China cooties because every time I type COVID on Facebook, I get all this pop up like, don't get misinformation. So I just call it China cooties.
I think it's funny.
But I picked up Home Depot's right across the street from my school, so I picked up a part-time job over there. And like my second week there's a young guy, probably 19, early 20s, and he's crying, and there's a woman there with him. And I'm thinking, well, maybe he lost his dad or something. The kid's really distraught. No, I find out that mommy told me he had to get a job because he had no job. And he went to Home Depot. He got a job, and then he just stopped showing up. And mommy found out he wasn't showing up for work anymore. And she went there to get him his job back. And they're like, we don't want him. And she's like, well, I'm trying to teach him. And they're like, we get it, but he don't want to work. We're not going to take the hit on your kid learning a lesson.
Remember that Congress guy? Was it a Congress guy, or he was like his wife died in a car accident, and he still went to the press conference and still like
Yeah.
it's like, first of all, heart of stone. You got to do what you got to do. You don't see that with today's generation.
No.
Like I shit you not. I had a guy one time not come to work because the new Guitar Hero came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just sat. I was like,
Yeah.
and like he's telling me this, and he's actually thinking this is like some sort of legitimate answer. And I was looking at him. I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind right now?
Yeah.
Like, you actually told this to me?
Yeah.
Like, to me, out of all people who have no sympathy or empathy for other people, you are telling me this right now. And I was like, and he was like, well, yeah, it's, I want to get a couple days in. And I was like, no worries.
Yeah.
Take the rest of the week off.
Oh,
Take the rest of the month off.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I don't want to
Just
see
you're
you
gone.
anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a friend of mine runs a like a sandwich shop, pizza place. So we had this kid, he comes in, not regular, he calls in sick a lot. Then I'll see him for a couple of weeks and he comes in. I'm like, what are you doing here? He goes, I'm going to work. He goes, you don't work here anymore. He goes, yeah, well, I need money to buy something. He goes, yeah, well, you don't work here anymore. Like, you think you're just going to show up because, well, I need money for something, so now I'm going to go back. It's like, yeah, you don't work here anymore. These kids just don't get it. So they love older guys like me. They love all the retired guys and stuff like that,
Brother, I hate sounding like the old man in the rocking chair on the front of my lawn, Get
off my lawn.
Get off my lawn, you crazy kids. But it's getting to that point where it's like
hopefully things are going to change with
you. Like, Dean, you've met my kids. Like they it's really hard to fool them. Number one. But they're tough, and
the other thing too is like why Roman, and I'm glad I didn't have to force him. Like he wanted to do it. He's creating his own journey. But the thing I'm most happy about is like he trains to be a DJ. He's the only teen in adult class. He's getting killed every night when he goes there. Doesn't care. He found through adversity. He knows he'll get better, but he's becoming like this young man. Like, and it like not whiny, not complain. Like, it's like I wouldn't have anything else. I would just feel like, no way,
My son Ronan, same thing. Like, he's 6 years old, so like, but we'll roughhouse and wrestle. He's like, I can't beat you, and it's like, then you have to learn, to beat me.
Yeah,
I'm not going to beat you.
Yeah, you're not going to beat me for a long time, but you're going to keep getting better.
And it's awesome because I can see it in his eyes. He's like.
No, I tell some of the kids in class, because like you got that smallest kid in class, your newest kid in class, and I'll say, you got the smallest kid in class. I go, who gets the best training in here? I go, the littlest guy. And they're like, why? I go, because he gets to train against giants. The biggest kid in class gets the worst training. There's nobody pushing him here.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it kind of flips the script. They're like, oh yeah, I don't have to beat these guys.
My favorite people
to get better.
Those are my favorite people in class because they have what I call that fuck you moment. Like when I remember like I was boxing somebody, they're like, smaller or maybe not smaller, but didn't have the same skill. And I had them in a corner and I was just like enjoying myself because I was really like giving it to them. And you can see that switch go where it's like, no, fuck you. Yep. And then they start hitting you.
There you go.
That is the most beautiful thing in the world.
Yeah, that's a good epiphany for them, man. Yeah.
I've seen that in the Dodd Brothers so much as well, where someone just gets the tar beaten at them for years. And then just one day they're just like, no, I don't have to take this.
Not me. Right. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Not me.
Yeah. Not me.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome stuff. Okay. So you own school. So what do doing kids?
So I opened up my own school in Chelsea. I'm there 2 days a week. And the other days I'm checking out all the different martial arts schools in Boston to see like where I want to settle. So if somebody's got like a 3-month special, I'm on it, but I'm also trying to make connections there. I'm trying to find another good black belt or something. Hey, come to my place and we'll all train together. We used to have like we'd have a 3rd day a week. We'd have Friday where I would just bring in a different teacher. So, I'm doing karate and judo, but okay, we got, Mark's going to teach Taekwondo or Arthur's going to teach Aikido, or this guy's going to show us some Kung Fu, and, we could just mix it all up. And then I settled at this one Kung Fu school for a while. They were doing Sanda, which is it's like a Muay Thai, but you could do any throw. But I've also liked Kung Fu just because it had all the weapons, and that's why I went to China. Kung Fu is just it's just so vast. But sometimes I feel like 2 years in China was a waste. Nobody wants to learn Kung Fu; it's too hard.
You know what? Like some of my toughest fights, and I mean this. Two of my the toughest fights I've ever had were with people who strictly trained in Chinese martial arts. And Thomas Holt was one of them with 3 section staff. And he just, at first, I thought it'd be yeah, whatever. Chinese martial arts, whatever, right? And then it's I was actually terrified. It was a beautiful thing. So I think that's part of the problem too. So we go through the flavor of the week, right? Sometimes it's for me, it was I remember it was grappling, then Muay Thai, then Silat, and then FMA, and then it just goes back around, right? The main ones that people really want to train. I really wish people would explore the Chinese martial arts a bit more, because there's some pretty heavy shit there too.
Yeah, I mean, people look at my stuff and they're like, well, why is my karate different? Because I put Kung Fu on it. Why is my boxing different? Because I put Kung Fu on it. Why don't you teach Kung Fu? You didn't want to learn that. You wanted to, because that's not an MMA, so it must not work, right?
Oh, there you go. It's not MMA.
Being in Boston, people have a lot of choices of martial arts schools to go to. So I end up teaching what's popular. I regret never really doing an adult karate program. I tried doing Kung Fu and it just didn't take off. I have never seen that in UFC. But I thought, people would see man, you got all these styles and you got straight sword and broadsword and staff and spear and 3-sectional staff and rope dart and all these, super cool things. Yeah, no, I didn't see it in UFC. Okay. So I got to kind of stick with what's popular. What's popular.
That's too bad. Wow.
Yeah.
I could send them videos where I could show them where it works.
Yeah.
Especially for us, it's and again, I'm not trying to hijack this, but with the Daw Brothers, it's an open lab, right? It's just bring something, we'll use it, we'll try it. Yeah. And 3-section staffs become very popular. I know a few people that use the rope, was a chain with a dart at the end.
Whip chain. Yep.
Fuck me, that hurts.
Yep.
And nunchucks.
Yeah.
I heard people recently even talk about nunchucks. I've never been hit that hard before, and with a mask off, with a nunchuck wraps around your stick, it still smacks you in the face, sort of thing. It's it was a beautiful thing. So, and that's the thing too. Part for me is to let people know we got to train in everything.
Yeah.
If it's close to you and something that's good, go there, train, use it, enjoy it, and don't let it die off, right?
I learned more about my karate from other arts than I did in karate.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Xingyi, Filipino martial arts, Bagua changed all this bunkai that people come up with. The bunkai is the application of the kata, and most people's bunkai is bunk. And we do stuff, and I'm like, what's that? I go, yeah, that's just a Chinese thing. We were talking with Dog Brothers, and you were talking to me about what's my view from Filipino martial arts on the outside. Mm-hmm. My first exposure to Filipino martial arts, I was doing boxing, and this was I was at Gleason's gym in Brooklyn, but there was a guy in our neighborhood who boxed, and he's seen us out there training, a guy Larry Churchill, and I guess his dad was a professional boxer, and he boxed, and he's half Filipino. His dad's a military guy. His mom's Filipino, and he got to learn some Filipino martial arts, and I did almost all empty hand stuff with him. A couple times we were doing weapon and we were doing stick, and he said, well, that represents a short sword. It's more like a machete. And he found out that I right away went home and started playing with a machete. He's like, yeah, we're done with weapons, But he's somebody I wish I had paid more attention to, because being young and dumb, I'm like, well, I never heard of this, so it must not be any good. you know. If it was
Mm.
good, I would have heard of it, you know. And then, you know, I was in a martial arts supply store. And there's a friend of mine goes, hey man, there's a guy teaching Bruce Lee sticks. Cause we know what they're called. We call them double sticks or stick, you know, but it was Remy Priestess. And there was a picture of him, you know, doing ice and like charging with the sticks and stuff like that. And he goes, you want to go to this? And I go, okay. I went, and man, he was just mesmerizing. And I was like, wow, this is like, you know, Jedi level kind of shit going on, you know. And I just stood there in awe. And they're like, you know, other people are practicing. I go, no, I think I just want to watch him, because I never seen anybody like that before. And then I tried to find that. I'm looking for schools in the Boston area, and not for nothing, I don't care if they know, they all sucked. They didn't look anything like he did.
They were FMA schools?
They were, because I'm looking for modern Arnis.
Oh, you're looking for Marnie specifically.
Specific, because, well, that's what that was.
Right.
You know? And I'm watching, and people are doing these, you know, stupid I'm like, yeah, no, you're not doing it. I don't know what a stick fight looks like, and neither do you. So, you know, so I just walked away from that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I heard about Dog Brothers. And I bought there was like 6 VHS tapes back in the day.
Yeah, I got them. I know.
Those,
yeah.
And me and my friend, I showed these to a few of my friends.
Of all of them.
Yeah, I showed them to my friends. I'm like, hey guys, you want to do this? Like let's practice this, you know. And we're just kind of doing that on our own. And then we're like, well, what about grappling? And with the stick, you know. And we got who was it? Gene LaBelle had a stick grappling book. It's like 750 pages. There's only like maybe 15 moves in the whole thing that are good, but because Gene just does crazy, cool, fun stuff, you know. But that was it. That was the end of my stick stuff, because I thought everybody else was shit. You know, that they're doing tactical crap, you know. And then I met Hawk Hockheim, and I'm like, okay, this, you know, what's the essential stuff? Because you know, I other stick people, I've asked them, you know, this is before I met Hawk, how much is this as a stick fight? How much is this just curriculum to keep students around forever? Most of them kind of looked at me like, oh shit. Like, you know, oh, I wasn't supposed to ask that, huh? But they're like, well, it's not about a stick fight. It's about learning the art. And I'm like, okay, well, I got other arts to do. I'm interested in, you know, saving my chicklets if I ever have to fight with a stick. So I really don't care about the art, you know? And, but then I met Hawk, and I'm like, okay, well, what's your essential stick stuff? Like, if you're not going to deep dive the art, what do you need? And I like Hawk's stuff. I mean, you can always add to it, but I would question what you take out, you know?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I never, I've been saying this for a while now, but I never tell people that I'm a stick fighter. I'm someone who's fighting with a stick in their hand. Mm-hmm. I just have, or whatever else. Because, you know, if I grab a chair, I'm not in a chair fight.
There you go.
If I grab a brick, I'm not in a brick fight.
But the first time I watched that Dog Brother video, I'm like, well, that's a fucking stick fight, you know?
Yeah.
And these other guys they're standing at like the best range, doing little whatever. And I'm like, yeah,
they're in play.
If you're doing a drill and you're learning one aspect, but that's not a fight.
When I hear people talking to themselves in the middle of what they consider a fight, I say you're sparring.
Yeah, no, yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, that was a great shot, my man. Thank you for hitting me in the arm. It's like, you know, like in the back of my head, I'm like, I want to rip your arm off.
I don't know what a stick fight looks like, but I know it doesn't look like that.
Yeah,
that's not what I would do. If I'm thinking, I don't know what to do with a stick, but I'm thinking I would probably win just beating them up.
And I think part of the problem too now is that, you know, especially with Hollywood and stuff, is they don't actually understand what violence actually is or what a fight actually is, and how dirty a fight is. You know, it's like they think that, you know, it's John Wick. I'm going to fight 2 guys at the same time. Yep. One guy's a karambit. He's going to stop in the middle to say, hey, are you ready? Now I'm going to really give it to you. It's like,
there's a video that just popped up recently, and it's this Ukrainian soldier and Russian soldier.
No, I saw that. Oh,
boy, that gets you right in the feels, man.
It's that was a tough one.
Primal. And then when one guy loses, he's like, okay, you know, you opened me up. You've won.
Yeah, that was.
It hurts a lot. Let me breathe. Let me die. Leave me alone.
I know.
You're the best
Is it a
fighter in
knife
the
fight or
world.
something, or is
They end up,
Yeah.
it starts off they're shooting at each other, but they end up close to each other and it ends up in grappling with a knife.
It's
And
it's really bad.
yeah, that's pretty
It's as
brutal.
bad as it gets. It's the worst thing I've ever seen
Yeah.
in that close proximity, the dialogue between them. I mean,
And the
it's
guy who kills him
really,
afterwards, he's respectful. He's just like,
yeah. There was no,
just leave me alone.
totally.
Let me die alone. And the guy's like, okay, lets
Wow.
him do it. And the guy who's dying, he goes, "You're the best fighter in the world. Say goodbye to my mom."
I
And
know.
my mom said
It
goodbye.
just-
It's like
ugh,
here they are killing
Wow.
each other, and as soon as one guy won, there's humanity in it, and it's just like,
it's a tough one.
oh man, it's
I know
that's tough to watch.
And that has, and that's the part of it is it
The
is tough to
Bondo
watch. I
School
think
in
any real
Connecticut?
fight is tough to watch, right?
Yeah, when people are really going at it like that, if it's not like the ego shit, okay, whatever, two guys, just doing their ego thing, but when it's like that, it's like that. Those are rough to watch.
Yeah, I've mentioned this before, different podcasts. Like I've seen, like when I was living in South America, I've seen a lot of people like fight with machetes and whatnot. And dare I say, like the last blow, the one that finishes everything off, it's just like, okay, I'm out of here. I survived.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's not there's no malice, there's no desecration. It's just like,
Yep.
This guy's dead. I'm done. I'm out of here.
Just looking at the comments, is there anything good we should answer here in the comments?
It's not really a question. I know there are Bondo schools in Connecticut. I reached out to see who might be in the Boston area. I live in Connecticut, and I'm not saying there's none. I'm just not familiar with any Bondo schools here in Connecticut. But I'm not saying I'm correct.
Yeah. I had a little stick group, before the whole, COVID thing, but that never.
It's hard. I mean, like I had a really good. Like I had a weekly class going on during COVID. It was a group class, and it was really good. We were touching on different things.
A hard sell. It's
a
real hard sell. I'll tell you right now, like outside of Europe, North America, when it comes to Dar Brothers, we're in decline because it's a hard sell to tell people.
Look at what we were just talking about, as far as the whole masculinity and all like that. There's no way they're going over. You know what I mean?
These kids, I mean, I think part of my the business end of what I'm doing is well, the schools have zero tolerance and there's no violence and like so like we'll have like we'll do kids' birthday parties and stuff like that. And, I let them cut the cake with, little samurai sword. It's the dullest samurai sword, right? But I let the kids pool noodle fight at the end, right? So I give this kid a pool noodle, and the other kid's got the pool noodle, and he just stands here. But the other kid said, I go, hit him back. And he goes, nobody can make me fight back. And I'm like, well, then go sit down. What'd you come up here for?
Jeez.
Like, where's your mom? Because, you think it's that you're awesome because nobody can make you. I'm superior because nobody can make me fight back. You're
The
proud
moral
of that?
high ground.
Yeah, like that's your moral high ground. And I'm like, wow.
Being still now
Well,
in.
They haven't met my kids.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because my other kids are savages, and we go to one of my mentors is having a tournament, and he lets the kids have a pool noodle fight at the end. So they're having a pool noodle fight. My kid knocks the pool noodle out of the other kid's hand, and he picks it up, and the other kid puts his hand out, like, give me the noodle. My kid's like, 2 noodles. Just going crazy at him, We had to yell, stop, give him the noodle. Give me.
I've been instructed not to do certain things like when it comes to weaponry with my kids by my wife, because she does want people to get phone calls. But they're not soft sticks. They're sticks that have just regular foam over them.
Yeah.
But they're one step away from like fighting with sticks, and they're young. Like they're very young.
Yeah.
And I don't take it easy on them. Like I play, and I'll tell them like I'm playing with you now, but I can do this, and I'll take the sticks away from them, and I'll just throw them on the ground, and then they're just like you can see the wheels turning. Like, how can I not have this happen to me, right?
Yep.
And we'll be watching TV, and they'll step up and say, "Can we fight with the sticks, Daddy?" And it's like, yes.
So what my kids do, like if they're, if we have fun in class, we're gonna have fun time in class at the end. If they do pool noodle fighting, I do this. I put one kid in one corner, one kid in another corner, and I throw one pool noodle in the middle, and they got to fight for the pool noodle. So now their thing is, okay, look, if you have the pool noodle, what do you need to do? You need to keep him off at a distance. If you don't have a stick, what do you need to do? You need to make this a jiu-jitsu fight.
Yeah.
So then they have that battle. And then at one point, I'll throw another stick out there.
Mm.
Maybe the kid who doesn't have a stick gets it. Maybe the other kid who has a stick now has two. But
So, I used to
just
have
the
these.
way they learn stuff is awesome.
Yeah, I used to have these like mayhem days in my backyard before. It was just absolute mayhem. I used to love it, and it was the same thing. I would have like just a pile of stuff, and then the guys would have to run to the center and fight. And this wasn't kids; it was adults. So I had like like plastic chairs, and then I have like sticks or whatever I could throw. I just throw it in there. And my neighbor came up to me one day, and he had this like massive welt on the side of his head. And I was like, Ray, what the hell happened to you? He was like, your Wednesday nights are out of control. I was like, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, I was planting some tomatoes, and I looked over, my 6-year-old grabbed a piece of rebar and smacked me in the back of it. And I was like, yeah, that kind of sucks, but hey, at least she's learning. So he's like, just let me know when those nights happen so I don't bring my kids out anymore. And I was like, yeah, no problem. Well, it was, I have some videos. I'm very tempted to post some of those because they were just absolutely insane. Like, they were so much fun.
Yeah. I see GM Zelensky commented on there.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I did neglect my duties of acknowledging who was here. So we kind of just jumped right into things. But yeah, we had Eric O'Brien, Brent, John Upholtz, Norman, who's from New Jersey, Brian, obviously here in Connecticut, Mark Medeiros, Canada, kind of by where Renee is, Brian Canada, Georgia, Tim Dobson, I'm not sure, so I don't want to misquote that. Christopher Lloyd, not sure as well. And yeah,
Mark's awesome. Like, really pressure testing everything that he does. Eric O'Brien, I can't say, like, honestly, like, we even last week we had a chat. Like, that guy is just super solid.
I'm seeing him actually this Friday, so that's gonna be fun. Going down there, but yeah, this is so. Yeah, let's like your video. You sent me a video, which I thought was really neat. How you were getting folks to get off center, and you were using the mirror,
the stick
like, or suggesting that they should have a mirror. I should say, I guess.
Right. So if you guys watching, get on my the business page, Coach Schiffberger. Don't get on my personal page. Just pictures of things that I cook and my dog. Get on my school page or my YouTube page. I have a couple of seminars on there. One of them, I have like 3 hours of clinch work on there, and I have another boxing seminar called Stick and Move.
Okay.
And it's what I have people work on when they're working on the bag, and that you're not just planting your feet and throwing punches at the bag and going for power. There's almost no power punching on that. You can add power to it, but it's all about how to move around the bag. But yeah, getting off center. Just the best block is don't be there. But I get off center while I'm attacking. That one of the things I tell people, I steal this from a guy, Dylan, I think his last name Breyer. It's been a while since I talked to him. But he said, and I steal his thing, it's offensive by intent, defensive by design. And that's something I really tried. I'm like, yeah, that's what I've been doing for a long time. I'm going to steal that. And
like that.
Yeah, offensive by intent, defensive by design. And, my guys, if they want to fight, they have to do a lot of head movement. And it kills me to watch pro boxers, that get out of the way of like 6 punches and give them an attitude. I'm like, but you didn't hit him back, dude.
Yeah.
Every time your head is off the line, your shoulder's in the line. Every time your head's off the line, your shoulder's in the line. You should have thrown something, I want that really good beat efficiency,
Nice. No, I thought that was pretty clever, when they're doing bad work to see it, see themselves and making sure they're, in fact, we're getting offline.
Right. And some of those people were brand new, and that. So, but I was pretty limpy, and then that was right after my my cancer, so I was still pretty hurting.
And by the way, I hope everything goes. Obviously, I saw your post there. I
Yeah,
put a care. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
I have another cancer, but it's going to be an easy one. It's a little
well,
cancer on
God
my
bless,
kidney.
man.
It's on
Going
my
for it,
kidney,
man.
not in my kidney, so it's just going to be a couple weeks healing, but it's a real easy surgery. So
Well, we're
yeah.
pulling for you. So.
Yep. That'll be an easy one.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad. I mean, not. I don't want to say I'm glad to hear because it sounds counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
The thing is, I'm so lucky that I found it because a couple months ago I had my first kidney stone. Those suck. Okay.
yeah, I've heard nothing
But
but good of it. Yeah.
it was a blessing because the guy goes, yeah, we got to have a talk. This is your ultrasound, dude. There's a mass on your kidney. And then they did a biopsy and they're like, yeah, that's cancer. I mean, so they never would have found it if it wasn't for the kidney stone. So
Right.
kidney stones can be good for something, I guess, Yeah.
Thank God. Oh my God.
Yeah. Right.
Wow.
So
Well, obviously it hasn't slowed you. I mean, you're out and about doing your thing, so obviously it hasn't slowed you down whatsoever. So what's your whatever Renee's got for you too, but so what's your focus? What's your status quo focus? I suppose like with your adults, as far as curriculum or whatever.
moving more away from sport and into self-defense, and I'm seeing how much sport I've been putting into my self-defense a little bit, so much of competing and stuff like that, like doing fakes. That's not something you're really going to do on the street. You're not like I was telling you the other day, there's a little mini seminar I teach called the Captain Morgan series, little workshop, and it's one of my favorite fakes to do is that leg kick, to get the guy to lift his leg, to leg shield. Then he's on one leg, right? So that's one of my favorite ones to get. So I get him on one leg and I hook, or all these different things that I'll do. Jimmy the Crackhead doesn't leg shield when you kick him in the leg. He just that's what I mean. Like, who are you training for? You're not like Hawk will say, like, who's your opponent? He does the who, what, where, when, why. You're not fighting Bruce Lee on 5 cups of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts at 2:00 in the morning. You've got Jimmy the Crackhead. You got Ricky Road Rage. I mean, who are you really fighting?
Good
and
point.
and I love those leg kicks.
And the guy whose girlfriend went home with a bouncer.
There you go.
We don't want to talk about that.
Don't forget that. Don't forget that guy.
I've read stories about that, but anyways.
But I love that leg kick as a self-defense singer in the club because it's going to stop the fight and not really hurt anybody. And but yeah, nobody on the streets ever, in the club has ever blocked a leg kick.
Yeah, I think it's generally headhunters.
Right. But you throw a leg kick at somebody with no training, they just eat it. The second time you throw it, they put their hand down. They don't lift their leg. They don't.
No, right. I can see that.
Right.
Being that their reflexive response is putting a hand.
Right. So I had to think, like, man, a lot of my stuff as far as attacking the other guy is what's a trained fighter going to do? And we do so much trained fighter. You do so much off the jab. That
actually becomes your metric, and when you get to average layman,
right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And then people are just throwing haymakers or running at you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I'm trying to just, how can I make my self-defense better for people who aren't going to put in the amount of training that I had?
That's interesting you're saying that, because I'm seeing this dynamic shift just by virtue. I was talking to Renee about this actually some time ago, and I'm not saying it's bad. As a matter of fact, I think it could be good depending on your needs and wants, but I'm seeing these very specific modules coming about. You know what I mean? Like for instance, it's, knife for self-defense, palm stick for self-defense, but really narrowing down. So in other words, take into account that folks might not have time to go to these group classes, dedicate,
right. Yeah.
But they
how
want
much
to niche.
time are you going to put into training?
That's what I mean. But they want to niche.
They want to niche.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like I gave you a little thing for my Jiu-Jitsu Houdini program.
Yeah.
And it's just like, how much jiu-jitsu do you need for a real fight?
I'm saying probably not. I mean,
right. And I want, there's 10 positions that happen a lot on the ground. Right. And this guy's probably going to be, if he's on mount, he's probably punching you. BJJ, you don't deal with punches and stuff like that. But, I'm like, what's the lowest common denominator of like essential stuff. Like if you're not gonna really grapple, what's the minimalist of grappling I can get for you? And I'll teach that stuff. And like I'm at a seminar, one guy goes, well, we're teaching escape from side controls. Well, that's not going to work because I would blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, you do BJJ? Yeah, I'm a 3-stripe purple belt. Okay. This isn't for 3-stripe purple belt. Well, I would do this.
Right. This is for the guy who's not going to have time to dedicate for belts.
So I tell him, okay, you don't like what I'm teaching this guy? Teach him side control escape. And he teaches them like 3 side control escapes, and each one of them takes like 12 to 18 moves to do. And I tell the guy, I go, so what do you think? How long is it going to take you to remember that and get good at it?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And then I told the other guy, okay, so hold him in side control now because you've showed him how to escape, and he still can't escape. Why? Well, he's not good at these moves, and you know the counters. It's like, like Jimmy the crackhead doesn't know the counter.
Right.
What's the minimalist jujitsu he can do? And you can send him that video too, or you contact me on Facebook. I have a little thing for mount escapes and rear mount escapes.
Actually, you know
what makes my jujitsu Houdini different?
Let me while you guys go ahead, I'm gonna send these now just so I don't forget.
Okay. But and if not, people can, like I said, find my Coach Stiff Burger page. There's some videos on there. Some of them are sport, some of them are self-defense.
I honestly, I love the fact that you're saying that. I love the fact that you're saying this. Some of this is sport, some of it's self-defense, because I think the problem with martial arts these days, as a jaded martial artist, is that we don't make that distinction. Like we don't distinguish that anymore. It's like, oh no, this is self-defense, and this will save your ass. But when people don't train a lot, or they do like a weekend course,
yeah,
you got to do high probability. And I hate to say it, a lot of people that I've trained with, I think one of the most honest answers I ever had from a martial arts instructor, I was telling Dean this, where this woman was telling me about her stalker, and I was in the U.S. I was just kind of like in the background while this self-defense seminar was going on, and she's saying, this is going on. The guy is like, much bigger, blah, blah, blah. He knows where I live. I know. He knows where I work. And the instructor said, so he's 260 pounds, you're 125. You're not going to be able to take him out the way martial arts people tell you can take him out. And he said, you need to buy a gun, and next time you see him, just shoot him.
Well, don't just shoot him because you saw him. But
and I was like, at the same time, I was like,
yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Like if I was incapacitated, if I had a heart attack and I can't move my left arm anymore and I can't walk properly, I'm not going to rely on my Muay Thai skills that I got from when I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
I'm going to rely on other things.
Yeah. There's a podcast called At Whatever. There was recently a thing on there. And the guy was talking about, this women's self-defense thing and how most of them are just bullshit.
Oh, we're doing a plot. We're actually going to be covering that.
The girl goes, no, you don't. The littlest girl in the group goes, well, you don't understand. I got training. She goes, I could take a 200-pound man and body slam him. She goes, I could choke you out in 3 seconds. He goes, well, come do it. And she's choking him, right? And she's like, well, whenever you feel lightheaded, tap. He goes, yeah, I know how it works. Go ahead, keep squeezing.
Oh, my God.
And then he just stands up and walks around with her and stuff like that. He's like,
so funny.
But here's the thing, too. Maybe you do have that skill. Maybe you are one of the people that can take someone who's 300 pounds out, but you are 1 in a million.
Yeah.
The reality is you're teaching people who have never trained a day in their life.
Right.
And you're going to say, I'm going to show you how to defend yourself.
Right.
Like,
and people want that. They think, I do a lot of stuff. I do fundraisers for schools and churches or anything like that. You want to do a fundraiser, call me. So I do a women's self-defense thing for a fundraiser. They don't want to do 4 hours. They don't want to do 2 hours. They want to do 1. Right. I'm like, well, what are you going to learn in an hour? And even before it starts, this one lady goes, so how does this work? I go, what do you mean? She goes, so do I get a certificate or something at the end? I go, yeah, we give you a certificate. I go, give you a little business card. You put in a wallet. Anytime somebody tries to rape or kill you, you take that out. I go, and you fucking believe me, don't you?
Yeah.
And she's like all pissed off. So what am I? She goes, what am I stupid? So I'm not a good salesman. Here's why I go. She goes, what am I stupid now? I go, no, you're stupid before, but now everybody knows. Like
Yeah.
that. So she leaves, you know. But yeah,
So
I'm like, what were you thinking?
the same instructor I was talking about before, we used to have these like women's self-defense courses, and they were like 8 hours long. And at the end, we'd have like the fist helmets. I
Yeah.
used to wear 2 layers of like shin guards, a cup, and basically I stripped myself down just to I would be protected enough, but be able to fight. And I had this really like nasty speech I would say to them, which I'm not going to repeat because most people think it's going to be insane. But they used to beat the fucking shit out of me, and I would still move.
Yeah.
I said, if you are still beating on me to this level, and I'm still moving, it means you haven't learned what you're supposed to learn.
Right.
You have to get nasty. You have to realize you need to destroy me to stop me. I'm a 220-pound psychopath. You're not going to stop me just by, putting your
It's
keys
so
between your knuckles.
diluted. It's actually criminal what's going on, what they think. And I think some of them have good intentions. I was talking to
Sorry,
Mary.
Dean, like just let me just jump in as well. And I
Sure.
mean that for guys as well, because there's a lot of people out there who are doing these like, oh, a guy grabs your knife and you grab his elbow and you tickle his inner thigh and
There's a whole nother
and
thing.
he'll poo out a golden egg. Fuck you. Like
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah, we're gonna
All
go.
you're doing is destroying,
Sure.
you're
Rabbit hole.
Drives me
shooting
crazy.
people and
You see-
oh, give me the double slap on my arm. Yeah, that's gonna stop me.
You see all
Enough.
these cheesy advertisements, like, don't, there's one advertisement, it's like, don't waste your time doing martial arts. You'll get killed. This will just take 10 minutes and you won't fear any man alive. And all this stuff.
No,
Like,
man.
and it's just like, but that shit sells,
Yeah.
it's just, it kills
It's
me.
terrible.
I'll tell you one thing. Like, and Adam, who's going to be a guest on the podcast very soon, he gave me one of the most honest answers. He says, "If I have to rely on my knife in the middle of a gunfight, it means I'm already dead."
Yeah. Good luck.
And
yeah.
he's a special forces guy, so it's like he's seen a lot more shit than I have.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's like, but the problem is we have a bunch of people with really good marketing who.
Yeah, I saw some people have a black belt in marketing, but their martial arts sucks.
And they put this shit out, and because people don't actually want to train, and they rather just get the certificate, like you said, like the card, instead of actually training. So when that happens,
shitty martial arts instructors have a good safety net. Okay, and that is that dead students don't write bad reviews.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that false empowerment. It's actually though, if they again, I think some have good intentions. They know what they know, they don't know what they don't know, or they didn't choose to evolve, right? And they're recycling the same stuff. But there's some out there I think actually know, and they're just doing from money a quick buck. And to me, it's all borderline criminal. Ethically goes without saying.
I think it's criminal. Yeah.
Hey, listen, and I'll say this just because I'm on a tirade and I'm kind of angry about this, but when I first met Dean and I saw some of the stuff he was doing as far as disarms, I was like, not a goddamn chance. You're not going to pull that shit on me. And then when I met him, he did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? Because
But that takes the high skill. So one of my teacher in China had a thing.
He trained it. He trained it. He pushed it. He pushed himself to the limit. And then he managed to pull it off. And he can pull it off because he's trained it.
Right.
But it bugs the.
Well, how many years did he put into that? Like, how much time are you going to put into this?
24 years.
Yeah, but I tell people, like, well, what should I do? I was like, well, how much time do you want to put into this? 1 day a week, one class, one seminar, 2 days a week, 3 days.
I got a question for you, Coach.
Sure.
I believe this, and just by working with them, being in the industry, I feel women's self-defense is weaponized. Assuming the individual doesn't go 1 day for clinch work, doesn't go 1 day for ground work. There is some good size, sturdy, but the average person, it's no way they're going to defend me. To me, it's weaponized. Do you agree?
It's making money off a feel-good program.
Bingo.
And I'm not saying women need it, but it's like my teacher in China had a saying. He'd say, what was it? 10 skills equals 1 strength. 10 strengths equals 1 will. So I'm teaching a women's self-defense class one time, and this woman just goes and sits down, and I know her. It's my girlfriend's sister. I go, "You okay?" "Yeah." I go, why are you sitting down?" "I don't know. I don't know why I came today. I'm never going to be able to defend myself against a man. He's just bigger and stronger." I go, "What if he's trying to rape or kill you?" She goes, "Read the paper. Women get raped and killed every day. And the morale in class is boom. But I know she's got 2 daughters, 7 and 9. I go, "What would you do if somebody's trying to rape one of your kids, rape and kill one of your kids?" She goes, "Oh, kill him." And I go, "Anybody want to partner up with Nora right now?" Like that. And I go, "What changed?" And they go, "You pissed her off." And they go, "No, what changed? What really changed? What did I do?" And it's like, this might sound cheesy, but what happened was unconditional love. I don't care what happens to me. There's no more fear. Like when it was herself, she couldn't do it. Well, I'm this, I'm that. We know all our problems. We know all our bad things. My kids, I got unconditional for love for them.
Yep.
There's no fear. I will die for them.
And it's funny, and that's when I said that stuff to that woman that I was training with, because she was like, I was telling her, like,
Yeah, but I'm going to get just another drink. Good.
Sure you are.
The crack pipe.
when I told her, I'm like, and I meant it. I'm a 220 pound psychopath, and you have to stop me. And she's like, "Well, I don't know if I could." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "What if you have to stop me from getting to your family?"
Right, it's different.
And then the mentality changes. And for me, martial arts these days is, like, yeah, you can teach whatever skills you want, but in the end, you have to teach mentality as well. Like you have to teach people to like alter their way of thinking and realize that the laws don't apply to criminals, and that if you really want to defend yourself or help yourself, you have to go to that next level.
Yep. So like I was telling her, like, so if that's not your kids, you have to tell yourself, if this person's attacking you and it's not your kids, how do you tap into that? You have to say, I'm not letting you take me away from my family. I'm going to watch my kids growing up. I'm going to watch them open up Christmas presents of their birthdays. I'm going to watch them graduate. I'm going to walk them down there. I'm going to hold my grandkids, and you're not taking that away from me.
Yep.
And one woman I told, I know her, and I know her husband. I go, "Hey, look, let me ask you something. Some guy kills you. Okay. What kind of woman do you think he's going to pick that raises your kids?" She goes, "The first thing with big titties." So I'm killing this guy. So like that, right? But but just that was her. But like, who do you think is going to be raising your kids afterwards? She goes, "The first."
You know what? And the thing that we have to, like, if we're really talking about self-defense, we also have to realize when we talk about, keeping our family safe, is our family needs to be part of that as well. Like my wife knows what side I keep my knife on, or my backup knife on, and she knows how to use the firearms in the house. Like all this stuff, like that needs to be part of self-defense as well.
Having a plan.
It's a combination of everything. It's a mentality and everything else. If I die or I go down or I get injured, you have to take over.
Yep. Somebody breaks into my house and I'm here, I'm going to try to talk you out of the house. I might say stuff to you. You break into my house and I'm not here and you're dealing with my wife, she's just going to stab you. I mean, there are Bowie knives and tomahawks every 5 steps in this house because of her, and pepper spray and stuff like that. Is like, dude, I'm going to tell you to get out of my house. She's just going to end you.
Yeah, no argument.
Hey, listen, it's the same thing. Like I know what side of my wife's hip the knife is on. You know what I mean? Like I know all that stuff.
Just having an overall plan with the family, like, man, do they know their role? Do they know what
I've seen guys get in a fight and the girl grab her boyfriend. "No, I don't want you fighting." And you grabbed his arm and the guy sucker punched him.
I know.
So I tell my girlfriends, "Look, man, if there's ever a fight, you do not grab hold of me like I don't want you fighting. You might be the first person I hit in this."
Hey, listen, and I've said this before on different podcasts. My wife knows that when my switch is off, her job is to just stand back and get us out of there.
Yep. Get the kids and go.
Get our
We'll get
kids
the
out of
kids
there,
out of there, right? Yeah, yeah.
and who we have to call afterwards.
Yeah. And people,
Because
I'll talk
that's
with
just
people
the
about
reality.
that, and they're like, "Well, I don't want to be paranoid." I'm like, "Look, I'm not saying do this every day, but you should have this talk. And like worst case scenario, are you ready?
Have
Fuck
You
that-
have a
No.
plan for the fire. Hey, if there's
We
a
need to
fire,
be.
we're going to meet out here in front of the driveway. I hope
Yeah.
there's never a fire, but you're ready for that worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So do that with other things. I mean, don't relive it every day and make people
I
paranoid.
tell you,
scared, and
Coach,
stuff
you'd
like
be
that, but-
amazed. Like I've done seminars, so and I always ask this question: I don't do it in the whole class. I don't want to put anybody in a spot, make it uncomfortable. But I'll grab a few people and say, hey, just by the way, what would you do if you're with your family in a parking garage? You see this guy coming across you. Like, do you have a plan with your family, what the wife does and all this? And you'd be amazed how many don't. Well, I think I would, I would try to shoo her away, but like nothing. You'd just be amazed how many people don't, but they'll have that fire route for their house.
There was a former Navy SEAL who I've been following. I forget his name right now, but he instructed his family that if someone breaks into the house, bed down into your room, wait till I clear the house, unless you can come to our room. And like he's got lighting set up in certain ways, like blind people come in. And I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And
like a plan, see?
But here's a guy who's a high-level operator doing this. Like we as civilians, why are we not doing the same thing?
I totally agree. It's like, why would you not? I know. It's hey, here's for me, but Maynard appreciates. I'm glad this discussion is not going pussyfooting. Tell it like how it is. I guess that's what's making Marshall meh a little different from the discussion.
He's got a couple comments like that. Finally, with the real fighters, not martial artiste.
Yeah.
Artiste.
Well, and that's the thing that bothers me about this whole thing. Like,
wait, an artiste.
Thank you, Ventura.
Like, hey, listen, like, I believe if you have tools in your home that are meant to be there to defend yourself, you need to teach your family to use those because there's a very good chance if you go down, like the fight's still on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fight's still on. So it's and I think that's what bothers me about martial arts these days as well, is that people are just sitting there going, I will do this and I will take care of that and I will grab my shotgun and I will do this. It's like,
I'm so glad my wife trains. I mean, my wife she has a black belt in the karate that I do. She has a black belt with somebody else. She's been to Thailand to train. She's been in the ring to fight.
Oh, fantastic.
So there's all kinds of, pointy things in the house.
That's awesome.
But she's also realistic. She's like, look, I'm not going to be able to take a punch from a guy. Like I can't, if I get hit, that's probably it. It's just, she's not going to be able to take a punch from a big, strong guy.
We had excuse me. We had an incident where my wife was driving and she accidentally cut somebody off, and the guy got out of the car and everything else, and the guy was like yelling and punching the windows, and all I kept thinking is, just remember, hit the soft target.
Yeah.
And I wasn't looking at and my wife gets up at 5 a.m. every morning. And she trains like crazy. And she's an accomplished martial artist. She's fought at gatherings. But the reality of realities is like, if you have to stop somebody, it has to be with something other than your martial arts training.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's just the way it goes. Or be realistic with your martial arts training. It's not going to be I'm going to, use my.
I used his force against him and disrupted his chakra. No, you didn't.
I redirected.
No, you just take that flashlight or that blade and you hit him a bunch of times and get away.
Even that stuff that I say that 10 skills equals 1 strength. It's like that skill. Somebody who's just stronger than you, it takes a lot of skill to overcome that. I mean,
that's why it just like with going piggybacking back off the women's self-defense thing. It's just like, come on. People are not going to practice what they don't remember. They're getting just flooded with this information that they're going to do.
Right.
If they just went on tactics and concept, weaponized it, a high dose of pre-violent stuff, not letting anybody get close you don't know, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
It could be so much more just realistic and functional movement. You know what I mean? It's
There's
such an old dated model, you know?
There's
It's
a
a
couple
myth.
of
It's a myth. Like we, like the problem with I think again martial arts today is that we are trying to pretend that we're all equal when it comes to our physical capabilities, but we're not. And just like I'm not. Like I suck at groundwork. I train it, but I really suck at it. But I know what my equalizer
But now,
is.
if you get in a fight with somebody who has no groundwork, you have more groundwork than them.
Yes.
You know, I mean,
You
I'm
know,
not
like,
the same. That gray in my beard. That's slowing me down, man. The birthdays. I used to say it's not the years, it's the mileage, but now they're ganging up on me.
Now it's both, right?
and
I'm
you know
getting
what's funny
tag
is
teamed.
my wife and I had this conversation earlier today where it was like, I am riddled with injuries, but I've also been fighting for, decades. So all that stuff is starting to like show up on many different levels.
Yeah. I hear
So
you,
now
man.
I have to adjust the way I train or the way I protect myself.
Somebody
And
I just posted a meme today. Somebody had this meme and it showed this guy, he's getting promoted. It's like, you got an upgrade, choose like back pain or wrist thing or broken fingers or whatever. And I go, oh, I got less teeth to brush and stuff like that.
Oh my
Somehow it
God.
doesn't feel like an upgrade, but,
Well,
I have the
you know,
partial for that, but I don't like it. And it's just a vanity thing. So I just don't even wear it.
breaking my like I've had my fingers broke. Like, my hand it's not this size because it's normal.
This one comes out of socket real easy. I broke that. It
Yeah,
dislocated
exactly.
in high school, and it just comes out of socket easy now. Just didn't
I've
heal.
I like my ring finger is actually my ring finger is actually bigger than my middle finger because I split the bone right in half.
Yeah.
And I almost had it amputated, but luckily it started working again. Like, we do a lot of things, like, training to be, our protectors, but in the end, we have to have a backup plan.
Yeah. My wife was looking through a photo album I had, and she's laughing, and I'm asking her what's wrong, and she's just crying, laughing. She can't answer me. And she's finally calming down. She's like, your poor nose. And I'm like, well, she goes, in this one, it goes to the left. And in this one, it's an S. And in this one, it goes to the right. And she, it's just, I'm like, yeah, I don't know how many times I got my nose busted.
I gotta
pretty
send you a
good at
picture.
combing it straight now. So,
I gotta send you a picture of, I was at a gathering where I was not going to fight, and I ended up fighting, and my nose got busted like really well. And my daughter was like a year and a half old, and I'm holding my daughter, and my wife is laughing, pointing at my nose, and it's like pointing like over here.
Oh man.
Going to China, everybody wants to punch you in the nose. So one of the names they'll give you for as a foreigner, they'll say Lao Wei, which means outsider. But another one they'll say is Dabita, and it means big nose, because to them we have, big noses. And it's funny because kids will come alongside. I'm like, one of the schools I went to is out in the middle of nowhere. So I'm one of the first foreigners they've seen. Kids will put their face right next to me and they're like, do you see your own nose? That, but Dabita is one of the things they'll call you. It means big nose.
Oh man. Wow.
I have too many broken fingers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I've broken
actually,
all my fingers, all my toes. I don't know how many times I broke my nose. This broke my jaw.
I got 2 broken noses, broken ribs. Fingers, I've been lucky. No broken fingers yet.
Wow.
Oh.
I got broken 3 on my left side, 2 on my right for broken ribs. And my wife was laughing one time. She's like, why is your left shin like all lumpy? I'm like, well, I block with that leg. That's my leg. She's like, oh shit, just
my absolute favorite is I had no idea that I broke my jaw.
Ooh.
And so I was like talking like Clint Eastwood for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I was like I was cutting my food in small pieces and just swallowing it, and then I ended up going to the hospital, and they took an X-ray, and they're like, are you okay with eating? I was like, well, I take food and I cut it in small pieces and I swallow it. They're like, and my doctor, he was like, your jaw's broken. And yeah, so for like a few weeks, I had to like talk to Clint Eastwood. Like they wired everything shut. Um, yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah.
But I think that's the reality of martial arts as well now, is that we don't show people that anymore. It's just like you might get a black eye, you might get a bruised nose. It's not the way it used to be.
I think it's all but what Coach is saying though. This whole,
Nobody wants it. Yeah. when I opened up my school, the school that I have now, I was teaching at a couple other schools that are, I was teaching at Brazilian top team. I was the striking coach for Brazilian top team for 5 years.
Oh shit.
That's
And
awesome.
and I was teaching at this other school a couple days a week. And I left that. I opened up my own school, and so people are going to follow me. I go, I don't want to work with fighters anymore. I don't want to work with fighters anymore. I've done a bunch of that, but I'm putting all this free time into these guys because they're young. They don't have any money. They need all this extra time for mitt work and everything they're working on. I said, I'm doing all this for free. And for what? They get good, and some other school says, oh, you can go train here for free, this or that. So I want to teach a different martial arts. And then I had some guys wanted to, well, we want to come in anyway. And I go, well, okay, here's the deal. I have that like level 1 Muay Thai. There's no sparring in there. You're just going to learn all the basics of Muay Thai. I said, I don't want you scaring away my humans. Like, I don't want them to even see you sparring, because there are a lot of people are looking at this going, well, when are they going to hit me like that? And I told, look, you can do this class and never have to spar. Is that going to affect your progress? Absolutely. And so, but if you just want to do this for the fitness and the skill and this and that, like when you're ready to spar and you want to spar, great. If you never want to spar, I don't care. I'm not doing ranks with this stuff anyway, with the Muay Thai. So, and a lot of my guys, they're 40 years old and they're self-employed. They can't risk getting hurt
right. Get injured
and stuff like that. Right. Because I tell them, like, these young guys, like, nobody in here is your stepping stone. Nobody here is your punching bag. Other schools I was at, like when I was at Brazilian top team, somebody goes, dude, you're crazy. There's this Southern Muay Thai school about a mile away. And I used to go to that school. I'm not going to say which one it is, but and people go, no. Well, because I do like the guy. I have a lot of respect for the guy, and you've heard of him. But I said, dude, that's the best thing that's going to happen for me. And they're like, why? I go, because they're going to go to that gym and they're going to get thrown to the wolves. They're going to get their ass beat. And then they're going to look for somewhere else. And I'm the next nearest place. And I had probably 20% of the people in my class were like, yeah, man, I went over there. And my first night, they put me in the ring with a guy who has a pro fight coming up. And I went home I was concussion for 2 days.
That's so long, man.
Yeah. I was like, what are you doing?
That's freaking, come on now.
Right. It's ridiculous, but that's what happens. And that guy's really talented and stuff like that. And you've heard his name in UFC and things like that. But it's like, yeah, that was right.
That's just wrong,
that's
man.
the best thing that ever happened for me is that school to be
that conduct.
Right. Because people hear his name. They want to find Muay Thai. They hear that name of that school and they go there and they're like, fuck this. And then they find somebody who's a little more sensible.
That's good.
And we had a lot of guys who were like, a lot of these, what gets me is a lot of these guys who are famous for being striking coaches. I haven't seen any of them take anybody brand new from scratch and make them a striker. They took people who were already good at striking and edged them up and then take credit for it.
Yeah.
We had a lot of guys who were brand new come up and become strikers.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it.
It comes down to how you feel about surviving. Like for me, it's like the same thing with like when people talk about criminals and whatnot. It's like when you have criminals who really want to get away, they're going to make your life a living hell. It's like, like trying to put socks on a toddler.
I don't know how you do that as a school or a coach. This person's new and you're throwing him in there like just unconscious. Like how you look in the mirror.
They did it to me when I first went in there, but luckily I had training.
Isn't it true?
Yeah, I read some. You guys see me doing this, it's because I'm reading your comments. I'm not ignoring these, but yeah, some martial artists have never been punched in the nose. Yep.
Right here. Is it true that Dean Franco?
Weird. Who's that guy?
A tiger with his hands.
Oh my goodness.
Like coach, for me, like I love these conversations. Like I absolutely love it. And like this is the reason I actually wanted to do this with Dean. It's so much fun.
This camera.
So many people like they're on their titles and all this. So I have an album on my Facebook called My Memes. Look at it. Some of them are pretty funny. Some of them are t-shirt ideas.
I see it. You know what? I see a lot of your posts and they're just funny.
But there was
hold on.
Yep.
Are they funnier than mine, Dean?
Well, hold on. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Because I sent you some pretty funny stuff.
Hey Dean, I've been sending you some funny stuff, Dean. I mean,
one of them is there's a guy and he's not far from me. He's in our area, and this guy's probably pushing close to the 400-pound mark.
Me.
There's two of you. He's cloned. This guy's probably at the 400-pound mark, and I walked into his school because a friend of mine was training over there, and he wanted me to check it out, and it was crap, right? And I look at the thing, and I see his name and everything, so it's Grandmaster so and so, and so I'm just calling him by his first name. He goes, "It's Grandmaster blah blah blah." I go, "Okay." I still call him by his first name. He goes, "That's my title, and I've earned it, and that's what you call me." I said, "Dude, you need to stop saying Grandmaster and start doing Stairmaster, because you're just killing yourself with a knife and fork." Okay.
Oh my God.
And
I had something like that happen in a school close to California. I won't say where it was, but the guy asked me to teach a class, and I was like, "Hey, what do you think about this, so-and-so?" And he's like, "First of all, call me by my real name," and it's like Grandmaster, whatever. And in front of his entire class, I said, "Fuck you."
Yeah. That's like why I use the thing
so
coach.
hard to believe that you did that.
Yeah. Like one guy, John Upholds, he knows me from Muay Thai, so he'll say crew. But sometimes people how they know me by what class they took from me.
Mm-hmm.
But I put up on it things like, "What are you gonna use for your title?" and this and that. I'm like, I don't want to use a title.
Yeah,
and
it's Dean.
Coach.
Just Dean.
Yeah. And just people want to give you a title. It's like, well, just call me coach. And people go, "Well, you don't know if you're a soccer coach or a baseball coach." I'm like, "Oh, good." So I don't have to go by Grand Poobah Samunim, Samunim Grandmaster with all the bells and whistles, and
God, what a joke.
Yeah.
Like at what point in your life do you actually like look at yourself in the mirror and say, "I want to make sure people call me this"?
Yeah. And the thing is, like,
if I ever get to that point, Dean, promise me, if I ever get to that point, you just look me straight in the eye and say, "Fuck you," and I'm not talking to you ever again.
There are a handful of people who I will address by, big titles, and I think they've earned them. But for me, like, I've always avoided that title, master. You perfected it? Really? What's, like, no, you did, because that's what it means to me. And I understand, like, some of the Korean arts are like, master is the teacher and the grandmaster is the teacher of teachers. And I'm just, I just kind of don't like most of those titles. But there's a few people who I'm like, Brian Zielinski, when I say, that's GMZ, that's just who he is. I see Dean Anderson, I call him Professor. Kelly Warden, that's Datu. There's some people, that's their titles. That's what I call them by, and I'm comfortable with it.
I think that's time in. Like, honestly, they have time in, and you know them personally, and you're respecting them that way.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people have those titles, and I don't call them by their titles, and they're just.
I'll just tell you flat out, and I mean this in the most respectful way I can. If I meet someone today, and they demand for me to call them master, I will tell them to suck a fart out of my ass.
Yeah. It's just, I'm just like, that's not happening, dude.
Yeah, those are obnoxious. If they're not obnoxious, I don't have an issue calling it. But if they have to some shape way, form, indirectly, directly mentioned or like that, it's just a turn off for me, man. I'm just, yeah, don't want to hear it.
Yeah. That's a respect that's you don't demand, it's given.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yep.
I agree 110%. Like there's so many people that I met. Like when I meet the Guru Dan, when I met Guru Dan, I was like, Guru Dan. And the next time I met him, it was Guru Dan because he was so respectful of me as well, which made me like not have a problem saying this is Guru Dan, right? But when I met Dean Franco and he was like, I need you to call me Grandmaster Uba.
I think it was
Master of the Night.
Grandmaster
And I
and
was like,
CEO of FMA. I think it was, right?
I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, what do you mean? What am I talking about? Anyways, it's a long story, but he it took a while.
Yeah. We have a huge Brazilian population here. I mean, Boston area outside of Brazil, has the largest Brazilian population.
Oh, really? Boston?
Oh yeah, man. You ever had Brazilian barbecue?
I would have never guessed. Huh, okay.
You ever had Brazilian barbecue?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, because it's all over here. It's awesome.
Oh, I would never guessed.
A lot of the kids are Brazilian, and I get their parents, but they all want to call you like professor or maestro.
Professor,
like
professor,
or maestro and stuff like that. And I'm just not. I just just call me Jeff, or it's the kids. Kids call me sensei or whatever like that.
That's neat. Wow. So what do you got? We got an event we got coming up, future events, anything?
Well, I was supposed to do a thing in Rhode Island on the 16th, but my surgery's on a Wednesday, so I'm not going to do that on Sunday. I was going to do it, but I had to talk. My next thing is I'm teaching in Nashville with Hawk at the Royal Range in Nashville. Man, it's an awesome gun range and huge gun range. And but yeah, like I'm honored to be on the ticket with Hawk, and this is my 4th year there. But yeah, my calendar, I'm looking at my calendar. I have a big dry erase calendar for the year, and I like it. It's about half full, so I'd like to do more. So if anybody wants to do seminars, let me know. You're not going to lose money on me.
Hey, would you
I don't charge like a flat fee or.
Would you be interested in doing a beat the crap out of cancer?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, we do all types of fundraisers because
I'm gonna send you some info on that.
Yeah, because
it's a global event, and I think
it's fun. Yeah.
Honestly, I think you're like the right person.
Yeah. So what do they do?
Yeah, definitely.
And this is my 3rd cancer. This is my 3rd time with cancer and I'm beating it. So.
You know what, Jeff? If you want to do it, just let me know. I mean, like I hosted one, and it's a lot of fun. It really is. And for a good cause. Hey, what do you got? Just Bert, just to let you know. It's not that far from you, actually. It's not set in stone yet. I'm going to actually find a couple of weeks, but it looks like Burton is coming to Rhode Island June 6th or 7th. So
June, early June, I'm good.
This would be, I'm sorry, it's June 7th.
I've heard of that guy. He's okay.
He's okay. He is okay. He is
yeah,
absolutely okay.
I'm looking at June.
The last 7th and 8th.
Yeah, 3rd week of June, I'm at Super Summer Seminar, and then the week after that, we have a Chad camp. So that's Chad Doolin's camp, and he never got a name for it, so we just kept calling it Chad Camp. So he's I've heard about that name, Chad.
I've heard about that guy. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, this would be the 7th and 8th of June.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted if it materializes.
I'll tell you how cool my wife is. That's like our wedding anniversary and her birthday, and she would still tell me to go to that event. Absolutely.
You tell her.
Yeah.
You take her, and you guys are doing a weekend in Rhode Island.
There you go. Where is it? Where is it this year?
It's going to be in Tiverton, Tim Gillette's.
Okay. Oh yeah. So I've been there because GMZ's done some of his.
So it's going to be there. But yeah, I mean, he doesn't get out. Last time he came out was right before COVID, I believe, 2009 or
Yeah.
somewhere. It was somewhere around there. But
I don't have too much of his stuff, but I love his stuff because
I can tell. I mean,
he's
yeah.
intelligent and he's a dog brother, so he keeps it real and it's smart and yeah. So I love the guy.
Sorry,
No,
who's
I
that?
love it to serve. I'm
Are you guys talking about me again,
Richards.
or
What's that?
you guys talking about me? Like,
but also
sorry, actually, and Tim, is it Tim Dobson?
that
I'm
is-
actually going to be in your neck of the woods like next week.
Yeah, apparently he's in London or
Yeah.
London, Ontario. Yeah.
Let me know where you're at. Let's meet up.
Yeah, but Jeff, I mean, we're not that far apart, man. We got to
Yeah,
try
You're
to.
only a couple hours away.
I mean, we got to try to maybe do something together or something, man. you
Yeah,
know?
I met you at first time I met you was at Pete Friedman's camp
In New Hampshire.
in New Hampshire,
Yeah.
and we had done something. I forget what the topic was, but then you were doing something afterwards, double swords. I'm like, oh, let's do that shit. And it's like, but
It was Ki. I was showing Ki. Yeah. Yeah, but we got to be because you're.
he's another guy I wish I had. Just being young and dumb. There's so many teachers I'm open-minded in some things and I'm trying to learn things and I'm closed-minded. I was closed-minded to other things, but Pete Friedman was a highly skilled guy. And I was literally like 3 blocks away from him for a while.
I know
And,
he's going to be he's the holder of freaking Lanana. After him, I mean, like I don't know if there's,
one of his students, Roberto Indio. I remember I was living in Dorchester. It's a pretty tough part of Boston. And I'm on the bus and it's, freezing cold wintertime. And I see this guy out there with no shirt on practicing the Joe staff. And I'm like, well, this guy knows what he's doing. And the guy's ripped, right? And I'm like, wow, this is just some guy on the street practicing staff and looks awesome. I'm like, man, I love this town, And then I end up finding out he worked with me. I worked at Mass General. And so just, like connecting with him and stuff like that. But, where I was at that time, I'm so sport. And that they're doing more self-defense. And I just, I wish I had, spent more time, appreciated it more, same thing. That guy, Larry Churchill and some other people are just,
hey, it's not too late, right? I mean,
yeah.
We definitely, we got to, I'll be in touch as far as Burton goes. I mean, I just think it'd be neat.
I've never trained with him in seminar. Like I said,
you would really, I think you would enjoy it. Really.
Yeah, I got a couple, and I saw somebody told me he's got a staff one because I love. So another person I want to train, Kelly Warden.
Yeah,
he just came out with staff. His staff, and it's with you.
I was his guinea pig. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That must have been awesome.
It really, it was a lot of fun.
So that's one of those things. I got okay. I give myself a budget of what I'm gonna get. I get something like once a month because if not, I'll just.
No, I know you end up going bankrupt, right? I know.
Yeah. I mean, if you're ever in this area, either of you guys, I'm in Salem, Mass, but we have a split level, so people come and stay with me, and they get to stay, split level. It's like you have your own apartment downstairs, but so like Chris LaCava, he stayed with me a bunch of times. I know Chris and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You see how many martial art books and videos I have downstairs. It's just, I got, I don't know, 50.
Something I think telling about that? I haven't heard from him in a while. Kind of lost touch with him, but Jalendo.
Yep. I talked to him, a few times a year, and he's come up to visit. He's come up and stayed with me and stuff. And yeah, he's good people.
Salem. That's right, Salem. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like 20 minutes away from Boston if there's no traffic.
Do you when you're up that way, do you Mike and May Williams?
Yeah. They're less than a mile away from me.
How far are you from that, like Niagara Falls?
Niagara. Oh, that's a long ways away. That's New York.
That's
like an 8-hour drive.
Yeah.
Was that where you're at? Are you near Niagara Falls?
I'm like an hour from Niagara Falls.
Okay, because there was a school somewhere near Syracuse that talked about, bringing me in this year and stuff like that. But so they're not too far from that. But yeah, it's like an 8-hour drive.
Saratoga. How far is Saratoga from that?
That's about 5 hours for me. So
5 hours.
I've taught at SMAF a few times. And when I moved from New York City to upstate, I was in the Glens Falls, Lake George area. So
Okay.
it's like a half hour away from Saratoga.
Tim, Renee, I'm going to be at Tim's school in the fall. If you were interested.
I'll be there.
Renee, I'm going to be at Tim's school in the fall if you're interested.
Well, I'm going to be I'm going to be in Florida in March.
Yes.
September, I'm going back to Spain.
Cool.
And I'm in talks right now to go to what's it called? Australia. So
Wow.
That would be exciting.
Yeah.
Australia.
not really, because that means I have to like give my notice at work or something.
That's a long flight, man.
Yeah, I know. That's the only thing that stopped me from going over there, like the Philippines or that, like just a day on a plane.
Yeah. Yeah. I've made 7 trips to China, 2 to Thailand, and 2 to Japan.
I have no interest in being on a plane that long.
20
Honestly,
hours.
like for me,
20 hours,
it's like
24 hours flight.
I can get on a plane and like pass out, not a problem.
Oh,
But I have a 6 and an 8-year-old. That is not a flight I want to take.
No. Yeah, it's just, and I can't do it. It's just like, yeah. I don't know. Wow. Well, awesome, guys. It's going on, close to 2 hours, man. This has been awesome.
wow.
Yeah, and hey, I'm really glad to have you on. I don't want to speak.
I'm honored to be on. Like I said, when you messaged me and said, "Hey, I have a new channel. You interested?" I'm like, yeah, I watched your FMA thing, and I didn't do that. And then I watched your first episode. I'm going to have these people on. You mentioned my name. I was like, oh shit, he wants me on. I messaged you back like, hey, dude, I
always wanted to get you on, but
it's deep, So I don't know if I can help you or not.
Yeah, no, this was great. I just had I always wanted to bring you on. I enjoyed, when we met up in New Hampshire. It was just tough to put you in the FMA thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. And honestly, like to me, like I'll just say this. I feel like I'm talking to one of my buddies that I haven't talked to in a long time. So for me, like honestly, thank you. It's been an absolute honor to have this like conversation. So
yeah,
it's fun for me. It's good for me to find like-minded people. There was I was pretty close to quitting martial arts at one time because I'm teaching at, 3 MMA gyms and everyone's just a fucking asshole. It just brought a really negative thing. And then I met Rafi Dadarian.
But I am an asshole. Sorry.
Well, they're different type of assholes. It was so much stupid machismo and then I met Rafi Dadarian, and from him I met so many cool people again. I'm like, oh wait, there's still some cool open-minded martial art people out there, and
yes.
And it was just good for me to do that.
And I think this is what this podcast is all about, is to like just be cool and just be part of the, like the cool martial arts guys now.
Yeah.
That's it.
And not what Dean says, like wearing a Joy Division shirt. But we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that later. So
Hi, Kara. I just read your post.
It's great to have.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm getting attacked.
Yes.
Oh.
Hug attacks are always good from the kids.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Meh. They're real. Glenn. Awesome. But hey, Jeff, again, man, I'll definitely keep people on the Burton thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. And you're only 2 hours away, so we got to get together more often.
No, it's stupid. Before we get older, man, let's do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, sir. Yeah. Well, sir, salute, man. It was a pleasure.
Thank you guys. Yeah, great meeting you. And Renee, find me on Facebook too. I'll send you some of those seminars.
I forward
hey, brother, listen, like I want to call you and I want to send you a whole bunch of like really bad memes as well. Because honestly, I like you. So let's
I have an album called My Memes, and some of them are t-shirt ideas, but I made all those. One of my memes got over like 1 million shares. you know, it's just, yeah, it was a kind of a political meme. And, yeah, but and you've probably seen some of my memes. They pop up on other people steal them. There's one I made, and you remember the show Johnny Quest?
Yep.
Yeah.
So Race Bannon is on the bulldozer, and he's behind a thing. And I said, Race Bannon, teaching kids the difference between cover and concealment since 1964. You might have seen it because a lot of gun groups share that. I said, but I made that meme. I'm like, man, I should have watermarked my memes.
Oh,
just
man.
Yeah.
Well, now you know, man.
Yeah.
All right, man. We'll be in touch.
Thank you for having me on.
Awesome.
Anytime.
Great to meet you, Renee. All right, sir.
All right,
good?
take care.
Happy
All right,
well.
I'll click off there. Bye, guys.
And that wraps up episode 4. That was a good one, man. I enjoyed him, you know?
It was all right.
Yeah.
No, that was actually awesome. I love that guy because, like, I feel like he's like he thinks the same way as I do. So,
Yes. Hey, here's it in. Okay, Buffalo. Looks like I'm going to be there. If you care, like if you actually care, I will be there October 3rd to the 5th. I'm going to be a guest teacher there. So if you're around and you would like to see your co-host, yeah.
I think we should make some shirts.
Shirts?
The Marshall Man shirts.
I think so, but definitely with the dog logo. Yeah. Who we got next? Actually, it's not definitive yet, but perhaps Adam is not though.
Yep.
We'll definitely have somebody.
So I just got a call back from Adam right now. So he's setting it up. And Adam, JTF2, a real operator, 8 deployments.
Awesome. 8.
Yeah. No bullshit. He's going to be there.
Okay. And worst comes to worst, folks, if something doesn't work out with him, whatever, there will be somebody next Wednesday, regardless. So, yeah,
It might just be Dean and I.
Or that, yeah, and you guys can just listen to us. But awesome, enjoyed it. It was fun.
Sorry, Tim. I've been with the Dog Brothers since 2007.
Yeah. So, but great. Yeah, we had a lot of comments, folks watching. That was a good one. I knew he'd be a good one. I could just tell, like it would be, you know.
He's all right.
Yeah, I knew he could be enjoyable.
All right. I am going to go to bed.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, we'll be in touch. All right. Take care, everybody.
Good night.